Welcome, 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 Alan Depew, your host once again for another episode of Quiet Please. And I've got a panel tonight to my left. We're going to call him Ace Hydorn. You'll find out in a minute why. To my bottom right, I got Mr. Bob Baldessari. We call him Bourbon. He used to be from Boston, though.
Eagle. I want to be the Eagle.
The Eagle. Got it.
Ooh. Oh.
And maybe the most sought after man on podcast out there right now, certainly the most sought after designer of putters on the PGA Tour, Bill Pressey, exclusive. You sharing it with us first. Thank you so much. You know this guy named Lucas Glover?
Rings a bell. Rings a bell. Didn't see that one coming. Gotta tell you that.
Yeah, he's the last person you probably thought would be like lighting up the scoreboard with a putter, right?
Yeah, like years ago when Sam and I first started off L.A.B, we got out on tour and Lucas would be, on the greens coming from the driving range to the putting green, and he'd walk past. I'd be out on the putting green with a staff bag, some weeks, and Sam the other weeks. But he's a big dude in person, and he's so nice, and he just stays to himself. He's not a chatterbug, and he does his routine and goes out and plays clean golf and doesn't get caught up in all the extracurricular buzz around, a tour event, and goes about his work. It's really fun to watch. But I didn't, he never picked up a putter. I'd be standing there and there was no interest years ago, and so to see him all of a sudden rolling the broom so well and kind of building momentum with it was really great. Well, especially for the yips. I mean, I have the yips so bad. That's why I invented L.A.B.
So first of all, I should have said welcome back because you've joined us before. But like I said, a lot of notoriety going on right now because Lucas is rolling the rock out of this world.
So fun to watch.
So Bill. Oh, sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
No, I was to say Adam Scott's been out there successful with the Mez. Bill's had some really good, talented players. Like I'm now understanding what Bill's about, what L.A.B is about, what Bill and Sam have created there. And I had the really, Billy, the privilege to see in action when we were together in Florida. But it didn't matter if it was a tour player that came in and Bill was trying to help him, or there was one day we had about 40 kids in the shop. Remember that? Little kids, and he was down on his knees helping these kids understand how to roll the ball. You talk about somebody who goes from extremes, but it's really been neat to see Lucas gets that putter. And when I'm using my Mez out there, people go, what the heck is that thing? Well, I should say, used to say that, but now they go, that's that putter the guy's using.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. We got quite a bit of momentum, and the whole vibe of L.A.B is really exciting. It's a great crew at the factory, and Sam, our CEO, he's just just making moves to get the company in a position to become bigger, and it's really exciting with a lot of tour momentum, which we never had in the early years, even back in the directed force days. And thank God, because had somebody won back then, I wouldn't have been able to make enough putters.
Yeah,
seriously, that would be looking in hindsight now what has transpired recently. It's a scary proposition to think what would have happened. So timing is everything.
and I think that L.A.B, I hope people don't think that, Lucas Glover all of a sudden lit L.A.B on fire. And I'm sure he's helped with a lot of momentum here, but there was a lot of L.A.B putters out there. Like Bob said, with Adam Scott and so I have a half a dozen friends that play with L.A.B putters. So I mean, you guys were a proven.
Now you're Alan, Andy, you're in Texas, right?
I'm in Houston. Yeah.
I saw that. Congrats on that win.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
We had quite a bit of people down in Texas and Houston and Dallas and doing a lot of lab down there.
Yeah.
That's good market down there.
So here's the interesting thing, and you just said it a minute ago, Bill, and I'm with you 100%. Like, I got the yips bad, like bad, and I just find it amazing. I have a video I'll share with you guys of a close up of a Lucas Glover putt. You guys have probably seen it before. It's the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your life. You think Will Zalatoris' stroke is crazy? This video of Lucas Glover is unbelievable. Like, it's unbelievable. And I just think that there's such a resistance with some guys to admit what's going on and make some drastic
Big
change,
changes.
right?
Big
And I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if it's just not being honest with yourself. But wow, you see what this has done for him, and you know, it just blows my mind that there's so many people who are such great players. Look, Scotty Scheffler's got an issue putting right now, a
Yes.
big issue. And if you have a trained eye like I do, and I'm sure some of you guys do as well, you can see those hands moving in his stroke. And
Oh,
at some point in time, he's going to have to do something about it too.
My
it's
God,
his posture. It's all his posture, and I think he's going to get the yips if he hasn't already experienced it and not talking about it. But you know who else was Bill? I always wonder, since the L.A.B broomstick is, and Ben on and Adam and the guys on the Live Tour, we had 50% of the players on Live Tour rolling L.A.B. We did. It was crazy. It was but who would have benefited the most? And I think back and I'm thinking, all right, I would have loved to have seen Bill Glass and Roland Amez broomstick in the day. See what that would have done to him. There's some other players, that that I would wonder, had we done this years and years ago. I've been doing this for like 10 years, but say 10 years ago, well, before the ban,
Yeah.
before that stuff. Well, what players would you think that in hindsight could have?
Interesting. Yeah.
Huh?
Well, I mean, let's jump to obviously Bernard. I mean, longer would have been interesting to see, right?
Yeah. I met with him. He flew me down to Tucson back in 2015 to work with him at the Colo Guard or the El Conquistador or whatever it was. And I made a broomstick for him out of the DF, but it had so much lead in the shaft to get to his weight that it was terrible. And we're still friends. I text him I can, get a little. He's tinkering with the L.A.B again, I think.
He still yips about every putt he strokes now too. And
I think he's. It wouldn't surprise me to see potentially, some senior Champions Tour players rolling a Mez broomstick soon.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that McCarron was rolling it the other day in that last tournament, but I didn't see any video, so I can't confirm. But who knows?
I'll tell you what. Struck me about this year so far on the tour is, we always talk about it. It's they're all great ball strikers, but who's making the putts from 10 foot in, right? It's to me this year is more than ever. It's been the year of the putters. Look at Ricky. Look at Harmon at the Open Championship, and now Glover obviously is just rolling the rock. And Andy, to your point, I mean, Scotty Scheffler wins that tournament going away if he could make a couple of birdies.
Yeah. It seems like it was a horse race from my perspective between that jailbird. There's an awful lot of those floating around in tournament play. The counterbalance long grip. Yeah. And then our putter. It was like a horse race between these two putters, getting airtime on TV. Right. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I was watching it. I'm like, oh man, it's like, where's the answers? And they're showing all these putters. So,
hey, Bill, you mentioned some players from years ago when you were talking. Where do you think Billy Mayfair would fit in there with your putter? Remember his stroke? Billy
Oh
Mayfair.
yeah.
The loop-de-loop.
Yeah, I would have so loved to have fit him and got him back in the day. That would have been great. But
I mean, do you want to talk a little bit? Because I saw you in action when we were together, when you had some tour players that would come in and maybe not recognizable name to everybody, but they're out there. And what do you look for? What would be the first thing you might look for to help somebody with their putting? Well, let's just say Scotty Scheffler, you sort of mentioned his posture.
well, the initial encounter is going to go one of two ways. Either they're going to stick with the same putter and want to know how to use that better, or they're going to be open to changing to a lab putter. So depending, I'll work with both, because some people have an affection for a certain putter, and just due to confidence or comfort level under the gun, under the pressure, they want to stay with it. But tempo is the big, when they're not using a lab putter, posture and grip, the way your forearms are gripping the putter, and the lie angle and eye position, that's all really, really super important. When you used to watch Jack and Arnie and the really good clutch putters under pressure, they were always hunched over and their sternums facing down to the ball. And I did a video years ago, Bob, and even down in Port St. Lucie, I did a one up on the wall where you bring the relativity of putting from a ball at your eye level down to the ground and keep all your triangulation the same. And you end up looking like Jack, Arnie, and so those short putters that are 71, 72 are super, super good, because it gets your rib cages down so vertical that rotation becomes tilt, and pure tilt shallows your pass and gives the putter a bigger window of opportunity to strike the ball square, and your whole thing just smooths out, which ultimately leads to better pace control, and then the whole cycle starts breeding confidence. And yeah, but it's interesting, the relativity of short putter instruction, getting your sternum down on the ball. I see, like Scheffler, his sternum's not even close to being down on the ball enough to make rotation turn into tilt. Instead, the arms have to swing across basically the arms have to abduct across the chest, combined with like shoulder tilt instead of rotation. And so you start to see the putter waver around, because he's kind of working with gravity to help keep it in athleticism. And yeah, so I don't know.
That's interesting you say that, because if I ever get going bad with the putter, the first thing I do is I get my chest closer to the ground, and that helps my arms feel more connected to the side of my chest. It just, for whatever, it's a security blanket for me.
Yeah.
But I think it's really cool that what you do at Lab not only is about the putters, it's about putting too. And I think that's really cool. And there's very few people in this business that do that.
Thanks. Yeah. Let's go back to the Glover thing, because I think everybody needs to understand. I've made this in some social media posts, that get those results that you're seeing on TV and if you miss one of these, it ain't gonna happen. It's a 3-prong attack, and you've got the change to change neural pathways and programming, and basically create a new path that has no scar tissue. It's a 3-prong attack, and his mental coach has done wonders in that program. And I've ran into that fellow before. I feel bad because I never heard him out years ago at the show and stuff, and we had crossed or somebody. So his work to clear his mind and set things aside, and then with the balance of Lab and having the high MOI but no torque, now he's able to reprogram, and with a broomstick, everything's so shallow and short that those guys are 6'2", whatever, they're something like that. They're using 45 inches, but it's about getting that sternum to go down. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you bring it from a short putter address positions to a broomstick. If you put that thing up on a wall, their eyes are right there. And if you're going to try to move that broomstick along a shelf that's tilted 10 degrees down, it's going to track so naturally. And because it's 500 grams and you're not using your small motor skills in your wrists and your forearms and to manage torque. And so it reprograms the whole thing, and it's magical when it's done with address position mechanics and equipment and mental. It has to be all three all at the same time. If you don't do them at the same time, it's like, taking your doctor's prescription every other day when you're supposed to take it every day. Is never complete your cycle.
Alan, none of this has any relevance to you. Okay.
Thank you, Andy.
None of it.
Thank you.
Not
But
a damn thing.
Every single thing you're sitting here, I'm sitting there going, well, I roll the rock fairly well.
Yeah, you
But
do.
can I get better? What do I do? And you're talking about what you focus on. When I go off the rails, I actually feel like I have to tip my hands up more and get the toe more into the, I guess, Bill, this would be like changing the angle, obviously.
Yeah, ulnar deviation.
Yeah.
Hands up.
But I've been known to make a putt or two, Andy.
Yeah, I've witnessed it.
I think this whole panel is terrible at putting, but we've been known to make a putt or two.
It's funny.
Alan is a savant putter, actually.
A savant, eh?
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know about all that.
Bill, you know what's funny? I remember being on the putting green at Hillview Country Club with my dad one night, and we were out there putting, and I was 14 years old, I believe. And I said, Dad, if Nicklaus is the best putter, why don't more people exactly imitate the best putter? And he's like, I remember him saying, that's a good question. And I went a long period of time that I literally tried to imitate Jack's setup. And I seriously, I thought, all right, this guy is the best clutch putter, the best putter. Why don't more people imitate it? There's other ramifications, but some of the best putting I've had is when I've got into the Jack crouch and done my thing.
Yeah. When I was just thinking about back in Florida in Port St. Lucie when I was given, so people ask me about, alignment aids. You get into this whole ball of wax. It's going down Pandora's box of how to aim. And you can aim the putter, you can aim your eyes. And, I see Bob's wearing a hat. And
so I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. And so I got into this study of like seeing how well people aimed with their hats, just hat on, hats off. And if your hat's crooked, you don't aim well. And so if you guys remember the tin cup, he comes out of his RV with this rubber band thing, right? And I'm over in Florida, and Bob sits. Wait, hold on.
He probably still has it. I know what he's going to say.
So.
Yeah.
All right. So, but years ago, and this is kind of serious, the science part of it is really legit. Is how you like ride your bike. If you're tilted this way, it's hard to ride straight, like your head's gonna, and when we go throw or something like that, so albeit tin cup, this is so incredibly effective. Right? So you line this up with rye ball. So and what happens is when you bring this down to your horizon, you don't want it up here looking like this, right? You want to get your head level and then bring your hat down till it's normal on the horizon. And when you lean down, when you lean over and get in Jack's position, if you're not down far enough, you won't see this rubber band going through your golf ball. And all you do is you align it with a building in the distance. So, you know, like aim point, you're finding zero, like gravity, and kind of like, you know, that whole thing. But anyways, you put your hat on straight and you'll putt better.
So Bill, just so for the people that are only listening to the audio driving down the road, going about 75, basically you just put a rubber band over a bill of your cap, and
out on the end,
and that becomes your aim point has to be horizontal.
Yeah.
The bottom of the rubber band will bisect your eyes as you're looking straight.
Yeah, Andy nailed it right there.
Well, Andy is a student of the game, so
yes, I am.
He better be after winning that senior champ. There's some sticks down in Texas. That's solid, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Look, I'm the business guy, so I got to know. Obviously, it's as you said, you're having a great run. I mean, people are probably just flocking to L.A.B right now, and for good reason.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
You know, the brute. So name a putter that won in history the next day sold a ton of putters. Just pick a model.
The McGregor
response. Yeah.
That's what happened.
Except I will say this, and I was thinking that before, is that like there was nothing going on with that putter before Jack, right?
Right.
You guys were humming along pretty good, but I can only imagine the stresses that all this puts on the company and the manufacturing and all
well,
of that.
yeah. And you know, okay, so because so I had the yips so bad that I started trying to fix it. So I took, remember the old Cobra tricep putter that would go outside your arm?
Yep.
All right. So I made a grip called the Billboard conforming, and it was 21 inches long, and it was flat, and it was 1.75 inches across and about the width of the shaft. And so it was called the Billboard because you could put your stuff on it. And then right as I was starting off in putters and the grip, it was actually a grip, the USGA, and we were designing the head too. The USGA came in and banned it. And so I had to figure out how to balance a putter because we couldn't brace on the arm anymore. And so the original directed force putter, the shaft was in the back, like the Biomech was kind of, but long before the Biomech, and even some of the old rear shafted dandies, a dandy on steroids. But it was that's when I created the whole L.A.B thing. But when the rules changed, that was the last one, and then that also did away with the belly putter. But I remember when the belly putter started winning and sales went out the roof, as a solution to the yips. And what we're experiencing is that same kind of rush to broomsticks, where the broomsticks were outselling the short putters, and we were not slowing down on short putters. It's just the sale of broomsticks worldwide is astronomical.
So we'll obviously say this again at the end, but just anybody that wants to, where do they find? They want to hop on your website right now.
Yeah, labgolf.com, and then you go to the fitting button or the store locator, put in your zip code if you want to go in person, and then we do the remote fitting, which is a couple videos you send in, and we can analyze your setup down the line, and then both face on for arm locks. So for arm locks, there's a second dimension to fitting, which is the forward lean amount. Some people call it loft, but when you start saying loft, you're changing the sole plate, and so the putter doesn't sole out right. It's better to do it with forward lean. So we fit the forward lean and the lie angle and the length, and then that's a whole other process. But the remote fitting is really good because it brings it direct to consumer, and it's extremely effective. And it's always good to go see your PGA professional if you have a coach, but there's millions of people that don't. So that's remote fittings there for that reason. And then all the PGA Superstores and Golf Galaxies, and I think the World Golf Mart locations is going to be, I'm not sure though, but most of the Superstores, Club Champions, and Golf Galaxies have inventory, and they've been bringing in broomsticks to supply the demand that they're getting at all the locations. So we're making broomsticks.
And are so many other boys out there or ladies over on the LPGA? Are you seeing an uptick in people reaching out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not at headquarters, that's Sam and our team, but yeah, I mean, we were laughing the other day. I can't imagine how many tour pros are in their garage rolling a broomstick trying to figure this out. I would be. And so, can you, I just wonder, it always makes me wonder, like, how many dudes are out there, and you're going to see them next week show up with a broomstick and play. So we'll see.
One of the things I realized when I was younger, playing golf, growing up and watching tour players, is you always think tour players are invincible. They swing so good, they hit it so pure. And the first like chink in the armor that I saw is how many of those guys really aren't good putters. Like I remember watching, I was living in Chicago, watching the tournament at Cog Hill, the Western Open, and this fallen Stuart Appleby, who was just absolutely hitting it like so great. And he was standing over 8-foot putts and missing the hole by like 4 or 5 inches.
Did he go out the night before?
I don't know what happened, but he clearly was a terrible putter. And I had seen a bunch of other tour players be bad at putting. And to your point, Bill, when you're like, you wonder how many guys are in their garage, I bet there's way more than people think. Like people, like it's a thing. Like putting is such a hard thing to be good at, but it's also one of the easiest things to be good at when you're good,
Yeah.
And
a lot of these guys are out there, with the demand science type approach to this. And so lab is a science. It's not, some smoke thing. So you see them. Well, if you look at your decade stats and your tracking, it'll tell you where you should be looking in real, like, effective time allocations or equipment changes.
Yep.
Bill, you were mentioning about the remote fitting, and I can attest. I saw you do that when we were together in Port St. Lucie, and people would send video or do Facebook Live, and you're able to get them fit. And talk a little bit more about that to the amateur golfer out there that will grab a putter off the rack more often than they should, but they'll think, oh, I need to get a fitting for a driver, maybe a wedge to some degree, but then they forget about the putting. But you're so innovative with your thinking and how you do things that for somebody to realize, hey, I can send in a video and I can get perfectly fit for the right putter, that's huge.
Yeah, one of the neat things about you put your golf shoes on. So if you wear flip-flops, flats, or Vans, or big cushy shoes, that changes your fitting, changes your length, and which brings up this whole other fitting science, is fitting your shoes to your clubs and making sure you're buying the right shoes. But where was I going with this? What did I say? I forgot.
About the fitting, just proper fitting for an amateur golfer.
Yeah. I mean, the if you're 5'9" to 5'11", most standard off the rack putters at 34, 70 degrees are probably a really good start. But when you get into people that play a lot and we start to use different putting techniques and grips and tinker, then it becomes exceptionally important to fit. Now, the biggest part that we don't fit that L.A.B does is torque. And when I do rotation speed for people that want a putter to gate more, for maybe they have the putter down in their fingers and they have their chest up and they want the ball way outside their eyes. They're going to come in sweeping and they want that putter toe to square up. So down in Florida, I would fit rotation, which is real toe flow as the industry perceived toe flow, which is not what it really does, or as far as toe hang. L.A.B is actually, what people think is toe flow, and fitting the amount of rotation to somebody's stroke to keep that putter square to the path that the putter is being moved on by the arms and the spine and stuff. It's finally catching on. More and more players are starting to understand that torque is not squaring up. It just doesn't. And the MOI shouldn't be confused with torque. The biggest, I think, misleading kind of marketing stuff in the industry, at least since I can remember, is we have a high MOI when we're referencing putters. You don't see people saying, yes, this is a high MOI answer, right? Or this is a high MOI bullseye. They started using high MOIs when they started making the backs real big and real long, and that was actually torque, not MOI. If you were to take like the original plop, I don't know if you remember the plop putters,
Okay.
and you were to make that thing 7.5 inches long from heel to toe and put big tungsten weights way out on the edges, and that's basically a L.A.B putter with no lean on it. But that would constitute high MOI without high torque. In my putters, MOI is treated independently of torque. So we create a high moment of inertia that's not fighting you and trying to unsquare. So when you see me do like videos or anybody with the revealer, the thing that you swing the putter in that lets them spin, and they're hitting them off the toe, that swivel is absolutely greased, or at least in ours. And that putter spins so easily, but Bob's seen it. The ball comes off dead straight, 1.5 inches off center. It'll lose a little pace and the head will spin, but the ball's gone on, and it leaves on the same line all across the face. But what the biggest science part is that because you're hitting it off center, you will lose distance, because the energy is dissipated away from the center of gravity of the putter face. When the center of gravity of the putter face and the ball are perfectly aligned through impact, there's no loss of energy. Getting it there is harder to do when you have torque trying to do that consistently. So, it's really using that MOI to benefit the players instead of create torque. And I wish they'd change it. It's like the old, when graphite came out and nobody was measuring torque the same way, and they're trying to get torque measured across the industry and how it was measured in graphite shafts. And L.A.B is kind of blazing the way to making sure the industry understands that a high MOI means a high torque. And you got to squeeze it tighter with your hands. Maybe you like that. Maybe people putt. We see tour players putting great with them, and that takes a lot of skill set. It takes a larger grip. The size of the grip has a giant influence on how you manage that torque. If you have a face balance, or a putter that has a lot of torque on it, put a big grip on it. You'll putt better, guaranteed. You can't cheat
Bill.
physics.
Yeah, you mentioned You mentioned the revealer. I was going to have you talk about that. And when people would come into our golf shop and you'd put their putter on the revealer, they would say, no, mine's going to pass. And you would show them, hey, dude, look at this. But the funny thing was, remember the miniature golf little answer plastic putter?
Oh yeah, I got him. I brought him with me.
You did? Oh my
Yeah.
God. That passed the test, I think, out of the best, right? Or something. I don't remember.
What, like an answer style or like a cash in style?
Like if you go to the miniature golf course, they have heel shafted little blue and red putters or whatever, and then they got center shafted ones. The center shafted ones, when I put them in my revealer, are perfectly balanced.
It was so funny. It's a bullseye, Andy. Andy, it's a bullseye style.
Yeah, choose your mini golf putter wisely, boys.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, my DF has won the World Pop Stroke Championships the last 2 years in a row.
Wow.
No way.
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
I think
we were dying. I was like, oh, it's probably, does anybody bring it to the miniature golf course? And we were laughing. I'm like, dude, we won the World Championships. Hell yeah, you do.
I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again because it's worthy of the people who didn't hear the first time. If you ever want a good laugh, go to YouTube and Google Putt Championship from like the 1980s. And Billy Packer does the commentary on it, and it is the funniest shit you've ever seen in your life. These guys with these crazy putting stances and strokes, like making these like ridiculous putts.
Boys, I'm telling you right now, I'm going for the Pop Stroke Championship next year.
That's
my road to glory.
$10,000.
Game.
I'm gonna be your caddy, Alan.
All right.
They're not measuring shoulder turn in that, Alan.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And speaking of championships, anybody got any thoughts? Let's roll over to does Lucas Glover take it to the next step this week? Who's
5 strokes off the lead, 4
5
rounds
strokes
to
off
go.
the lead? Yep. And by the way, where does 28 go down in the history of golf?
What, Victor Hovland's back nine?
Yeah.
It was kind of good.
Come on, man.
Hey, that golf course is so hard.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you, Olympia Fields is no joke.
Right.
It'll beat your ass up. And
if you didn't hit fairways, you're done.
Yeah. And the bunkers are ridiculously deep.
3, 4.
Yeah. Yeah, he only birdied the par 5.
And Nicholas, that's his boy. So you imagine it. Jack is at his house going, get it.
Probably get a good hot dog at the turn. Like anybody, you play better in the back.
Yeah,
that was amazing. And Scheffler, so I have a pressure mat, body track, and there's this thing floating around. Who's got a pressure trace of Scheffler's footwork? And so for nobody, or for people who don't know, you can stand on a mat and we can see where your pressure is on your feet. And if you're listening, you hit a ball and we can see your CG and where the pressure is on your feet, kind of like a radar forecast in red and blue and stuff. And nobody's ever seen Scheffler's footwork trace pattern. And somebody's trying to get it. Would love to see how he does that.
I saw a good thread on that. I'm sure you probably saw the same thing on like Golf Biomechanists or something like that, a Facebook group. But they were talking about that exact thing, and a couple of the guys who I really respect were like, you know what matters in his foot pressure happens all before impact. So where his foot pressure is at impact doesn't matter, and that's why it's even just remotely possible for him to hit it as good as he does with his feet and his legs moving like they do.
Yeah. I think I commented on that post actually. And being a hockey player growing up, our feet just do things. And when you're at a height, when you're skilled with skates, you get to a certain point where
Yep.
you just think, go here, and your feet do their thing. And I think I commented on that thread. He's got that special effect because his footwork's not always the same. So his brain is just making his spine get in the right place, and he's got the best arm swing in the business.
Right.
And you're right. Like it is not always the same. It's not even close to the same. Yeah. Like sometimes it looks like he's gonna snap an ankle.
He almost did in one of the videos.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
I mean, I cringe with my ankle history. I cringe watching that, but it's pretty amazing.
But he does it, and it's fun to watch for sure. And Hovland's got, more of a Bobby Jones swing. He takes it inside, kind of brings it over the top, and rotation and arm drop gets it in there. And who else? It's just amazing that you see these motions repeat through time, except for Scheffler, of great players.
But back to what we talked about, I think it was Saturday. I caught more Saturdays round, I think, than I did Sunday, but I think it was the par 3, whatever that one was, 13, 14 and he hits it in there to he only had 6 feet, and he didn't even sniff the hole. I mean, he didn't even touch it. And that was just all 4 days. I don't have the stats in front of me, but strokes gained up until the greens, he had to have been number 1.
Well, they said, I saw this week that this year his strokes gained.
Oh wait, I did better than Tiger, wasn't it?
Was the second best in history to Tiger in 2007 maybe, or whatever. One year Tiger had a couple percentage points better, but I mean, yeah. And if you think about it, the way he putts, and him being as good as he is with the results that he gets, the only way he does that is to be just an over the top phenomenal.
And if I remember that, Andy, that's when they flashed somebody else up there. There was somebody else. Vijay Singh, was it maybe in that stat also?
I think so.
And they both they had each, Vijay and Tiger, in those years of comparison, each had 4, 5, or 6 victories. Scotty's got 1.
Yeah.
1. It's crazy.
VJ's another one who's a good example of if he could putt.
True.
Yeah.
So Bobby, looking ahead to Atlanta, what you got? What are you thinking?
I haven't even thought about it, actually. Now you got me thinking.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Bill, what do you think about the Ryder Cup? Let's ask that question, because as our special guest panelist this week, we debated it last week extensively. Who's getting picked? Is your boy getting picked?
That's a hot topic. Wow. Yeah, I think he does get picked.
I think he gets picked.
You know why? It's because he's got that leader mentality.
Because he's rolling.
Obviously, he's got game now because he can putt. So he's always had the game. Obviously, I was just being facetious.
Does Zach take Brooks Koepka? Now that he's fallen out of the top 6.
He's so steady over the last 7 weeks? 7 weeks in a row. 4 weeks in a row. 6, or was it 4 weeks every week top 6 or better, and then 2 wins back to back,
right?
And another top 20, and he just couldn't get out of the rough at that last tournament. But I mean, if I'm the captain, knowing that Glover is Captain America right now, you want the society behind it, and it seems like there's an awful lot of people that think that they want to root for him to be on the team, and that in itself, and just his recent play, what have you done for me lately? I don't think you can pass Glover.
I say the top. I say Zach Johnson picks the top 9, which means taking Brooks Koepka, even though he's fallen out of the automatic. Because I think the people would be somewhat outraged because he deserves to be there. He's proven he deserves to be there. And then I think it's Ricky, Lucas, and Keegan. And 2 out of those, I mean, Ricky and Lucas, because they're just rolling the rocks so well this year. And Keegan's Keegan. He's a bulldog. What say you, Andy? Andy, what say you?
I honestly, as opinionated as I can tend to be, this is a tough one. Like, you look at that list of potentials, and I'm glad I'm not Zach Johnson, because you can make a strong case for everybody in that top 16. It's tough.
Bobby?
I do like
what about Bryson? Just shot 58.
No, he's
I
out.
don't think. I very much agree with you, Alan, and I do like Keegan. Got to go with Glover, and then, I mean, Ricky. He always could. It looked like he was always still putting it pretty good, but now he's got his game back on track. I think he's good in the room. It seems to be Zach's really on this blend of camaraderie. I mean, he made the comment about. I'm going to butcher the quote, but it was in essence like, I don't really want the 12 best winners, players, the hottest. I want the 12 best guys. So that was really a striking comment to me. But as far as just, some blend of people that you think they can get along and be teammates, I think, I'll go with yours.
I mean, but that means passing over JT, but more importantly, it means passing over Morikawa.
That's what I said. I am not envious of Zach.
No.
I don't know, Jake. You guys have probably all seen it. This cast move from the top has been coming and building for years, and it starts, getting so bad. It was like David Toms got to be at one point where you get that little throw and then hold all the way down, and his footwork was, fast enough, but he starts. I think he's got past like the last tournament I saw him. Apparently, his dad and him were making some moves to not have that little push out and then drag down. But that's got to go away before he can play at elite levels, especially for America. When you see him swinging like that, that's why Tom's went away for a while and came back. And that little throw from the top is a dangerous thing. It's really bad on, maintaining shaft flex and shaft dynamics all the way down. That's a tough one, but I hope he gets a hold of that. It looked like they were fixing it from his last tournament, but he's got to get a hold of that, in my opinion, before he plays on a Ryder Cup team. Just from he's a great athlete, and he relies on athleticism and just pure grit and practice. There's been a lot of funky moves throughout history, but they're gritty, competitive people, and they find a way to win. But I don't think the Ryder Cup is the answer for that one at this point.
Right.
But everybody, Keegan, machine. I mean, who wants to go against Keegan? Nobody.
He's
Miguel. He's like Ben Hogan on the first tee. He's not interested in talking to you. He's not, it's hey, all right, sign your card at the end. Let's go.
Exactly.
That's what the Ryder Cup needs.
So, right, Mr. Bill Pressey, inventor of the Mez, director force putter, go to labgolf.com. And you're a cool customer, but are you ready for Andy Heidorn's hot seat questions?
Okay, wait, hold on.
He left the building. Bill Pressey has left.
Hold on.
Wait a minute. Bill, was that an emergency exit?
Shameless plug. This is my next invention.
Oh, yeah, the Face It. Right. Yeah.
It's called Face It.
Yep.
And this goes on your wedges. And I got it USGA conforming. If you mark your clubs like a golf ball between holes or before the round.
What is it?
This shows you face dynamics. So, like when you have a magnetic stick on the face of a golf club, you can twist it open, lower your handle to bring it back. This is the geometric pattern that I created that conveys that in a play position. This is 0. This is square face, 8 degrees open, 16 degrees open. This is the access point, which is by the hosel. So you twist. So that's square. You twist open and level and level. So this shows you how to hit bunkers. This is like Pat Simmons made a wedge back when called the Triple Crown from Tiger Shark. But it was non-conforming and the lines were backwards and the math was off. But the Lee Trevino played with the Angle Groove Dynamiter Spalding wedge on tour. Mm-hmm. And that's how he got the ball to check so good and not take divots. So the whole science of Face It is my next projects. And I have patents filed on the Face It part. And these stencils go on your club with laser them on, but now you can play basically you can play golf with a magnetic stick on the face of the club and be able to aim from the side. You guys have all put a magnetic stick on the face of a club, and when you're holding the club from address, you can't aim that stick. You got to have somebody down the line to tell you when you're on point, and then you look at your face. Yep. Well, Face It, you can aim from the side and deal with ball above and below your feet. I'll be soft launching this at the PGA show, so shameless plug. Face It.
All right,
genius.
Andy, before you go, I just got to tell you, mind blown. You're talking physics, and I'm still back in like.
This is how to use a wedge. This is how to use a wedge.
That's not a nugget for our listeners. I don't know what is. I mean, that's pretty awesome right there.
That's some cool stuff.
Yeah, I was able to get a USGA conforming, and I rallied with the committee at headquarters there that you can go to the store and buy a stencil and mark your golf ball, and you can only use a Sharpie, by the way, on a golf ball. And I said, well, that's for alignment on the golf ball, and I said, well, why can't I use a Sharpie to mark alignment on my irons, my wedges? Same thing, but this conveys lie angle and face angle because the grooves. The biggest problem that I've kind of, my personal opinion, people don't aim the club face. They rely on the grooves, and the grooves are very misleading of where that face is aimed because the lie angle is the other half, and you don't see that. You get fixated on the grooves, and so bunkers, chip shots, they're lost. They don't know how to use the golf club in those situations. And to get the leading edge to bounce and still be a square club face. And so Face It does all of that. It's a science that's been used by all the greats. It's how all great wedge players play, bunkers. And there was an even old wedge called the Burns wedge that had little arrows on the face. But the USGA banned all that stuff because the groove conformancy. So I figured out a way to do this and mark it with a Sharpie. It makes it conforming, and I got a USDA permitted ruling on it for tournament play. So I'm going to be soft launching that at the PGA show and handing out samples. If you guys are there at the PGA show, find me and I will give you hordes of Face-Its.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
Thanks. That's a little fun project outside the putters.
You got my attention. So, all right, you ready for the hot seat?
All right,
rapid fire. Here we go.
Okay, 9 questions. What's your lowest 18-hole score?
62.
What are your 3 favorite golf courses you have played?
I would say Martis Camp in Truckee, Nevada. Probably Pebbles got to go in there because you got to throw it in there. And then, gosh, there's so many that I've played. I'm going to say Whistling Straits.
Okay, what are the 3 courses you would love to play that you haven't played?
well, Pine Needles and Augusta and Cypress.
Awesome. Okay, name the 3 best players of all time. No order.
Lucas Glover. No, I'm just, 3 best players of all time. All right. Jack, Tiger, the third one's a tough one.
That's why I love this question, because the first 2, everyone has the same first 2.
Yeah, yeah. Being, I'm a swing mechanic guy, and I'm gonna go with Hogan on that one.
There you go. What's the best part of your game?
Usually getting to the course.
What's the worst part of your game?
Leaving. No. The best part of my game, I am gifted with wedges, and my driver, pound for pound, I pummel the golf ball.
What's the worst part?
3-yard carry wedge shots out of deep rough.
Very specific there.
No.
Any post-traumatic stress right there?
Yeah. You see how much of that happened at this last tournament? But anyways, yeah. Long irons.
Okay, what skill is most important to play great golf?
Forgetting the last shot.
Awesome answer. PGA Tour or Live?
Ooh.
Pass. No. Yeah, I watch both, honestly.
Okay, fair answer. And finally, who is your favorite golfer, past or present, of all time?
Bobby Jones.
You, sir, have survived the hot seat.
Well played.
What did I win?
Face it.
You want to face
Aren't
it?
you like one of those YouTube guys that gives away stuff?
You beat me to it, Bob.
I saw Bill with the face it under, like when Bill and I were together, we'd come in the shop in the morning. I would be thinking of a player development program and something like that. Bill would go, I was thinking of the centrifugal force on the ankle of the axis of the this or that. And I'd be like, oh my God, you're brilliant. Like he's so brilliant, but this guy is one of the funniest guys you will meet. His sense of humor is off the charts. So he's an interesting combo of like Einstein and Robin Williams or something.
Bill, I would have been looking at you going, I need coffee first before we go there.
Oh, don't get me started, brother.
All right, Bobby, 18th hole, approaching the green. I'm calling you first.
I don't have a good singing voice, but I want to say happy birthday to one of our favorites here at the Quiet Please podcast. Alexa Pano wins her first professional tournament over in Ireland. I met her and her dad, Rick, quite many years ago. We were at a junior event. He had a Patriots hat on. I had a beeline over and go, hey, you from New England? So I've been watching them since she was just a little kid. Prodigy gets overused a lot, and you never know in this game. But I saw her do some things along the way, some drive, chip, and putt things that, and other events. I thought she had the it. So I think, she's been on our show. She's an amazing young lady, as nice and genuine as they are, but loads of talent. I think this puts her over the top. And congratulations, Alexa. Well played. More is going to come her way.
Without question. Andy?
So that kind of came out of the blue too, like her victory. Like I was surprised because it seems like between Alexa and Sam, this year's gone by so damn fast. And it's tough to be a rookie on the LPGA tour. But for me, my final thought here is and most people know how I feel about the whole LIV thing, but can we please just pick Brooks Koepka to be on the Ryder Cup team? I mean, he just missed out on being an automatic, and we don't need any more of the political, the just the back and forth stuff that goes on. I mean, if anybody really thinks that he's not one of the 12 best players from the United States that should represent on the Ryder Cup team, then I think you're crazy, and avoid all the other stuff and just pick him, Zach. He belongs there. He'll be a great representative, and he should be on the Ryder Cup team.
I agree. Mr. Pressey, what do you got?
Well, I'm interested in watching this Rose Zhang LPGA gal coming up. That's kind of, I got my eye watching her swing and watching how she's playing golf and enjoying that. And I think you're right about Koepka. I mean, when you strip all the other crap away, Koepka is an absolute beast. And he's as American gets. And crossing borders or whatever you want to call it, you gotta get past that for the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup. Yeah, I think that's a big one. Whether it's Glover, Ricky, or Keegan, it's all irrelevant. But I think Brooks needs to be on that team.
I think he's a stone cold assassin. So I've already said mine. He absolutely needs to be there. Mine is as we talked last week. The Magnet New Corn Ferry event. The summer of golf continues in New Jersey. There have been so many professional golf tournaments up here this year. 20 under par wins it on the Corn Ferry on a really strong golf course with fast undulating greens. Just a testament to how good those guys really are. And talking about fast and undulating greens, this is what golf's all about. I will be reporting back from Pinehurst this weekend, where I'm playing golf with my two sons, and everybody should be doing more of that.
That's a great trip.
Bobby,
enjoy that.
Phenomenal week. Bill, thank you for being with us. Andy, as always, make another ace.
Thank you.